And it is 20 past 1 in the afternoon on the 7th of May 2019, and this is my astrological take on the Labour Party of Great Britain and its leader Jeremy Corbyn. Although the name Labour Party existed prior to 1906, from about the 1890s onwards, it was only in 1906, on the 12th of February, when 29 MPs got together under the chairmanship of Keir Hardie and considered themselves the new Labour Party. There was no time for this, so I'm using a midday time. But the horoscope of the, let's get it right, the 12th of February 1906 at midday in London is a very good snapshot of the Labour Party, and I encourage students of astrology to look at this. This makes the Labour Party an Aquarius with the moon in Libra and Gemini rising, but a cursory look at the horoscope reveals an extremely powerful grand cross in the horoscope of the Labour Party. The moon at 4 degrees of Libra is opposite Mars at 5 degrees of Aries, which in itself, that's a very feisty, fiery, impulsive and fragmenting aspect for any type of group, because it's about the needs of the individual with Mars in Aries versus the needs of a collective with Moon in Libra. And it doesn't help that they're both squared to the big factor at the time, the opposition of Uranus and Neptune. Uranus at 7 degrees Capricorn, Neptune at 7 degrees of Cancer. Square the Moon and square Mars. So the socialist tendencies of this time are clearly obvious. Uranus opposite Neptune, and Neptune is often associated with the rise and fall of socialism in various shapes and forms. There's a lot of studies already been done on things like the fall of the Berlin Wall, the fall of the Russian Empire, the rise of the Berlin Wall, the Russian Revolution, the rise of the Bolsheviks, the rise of the Labour Party. All of these have strong Neptunes in their chart. Neptune, in some shape or form, is connected with socialism at various levels to a degree. It's interesting to note that also the Labour Party was formed just a very few days, maybe 4 days after a total eclipse of the moon. It is a fragmented horoscope. It's even furtherly complicated by the fact that at the moment the Labour Party was born, Pluto was rising on the ascendant in Gemini. Pluto on the ascendant in Gemini. Okay, it's not got difficult aspects, but Pluto in Gemini on the ascendant is not conducive to a consistent and committed policy. It's very pick and mix, blends, flows, goes with the flow. It can be quite slippery. Admittedly, Pluto is trine the Sun, so the ethics and the essence of the Labour Party is not to be doubted. But they're a bunch of infighters. They always have been, and by the nature of this horoscope, they always will be. There is never going to be unity in the Labour Party. There are always going to be people who want a good social system of a good NHS, and who want the trains to run on time and the water services to run. And indeed, if Labour do get elected, they have said they will nationalise the water board again, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. But then there's always the hard left, the militants, the group militant, the momentum, the people who want to take it so far left that they nationalise everything. They make profit a bad word, and they are akin very much to the Marxists of Russia in the 1920s and 1930s. There's also the right wing of the Labour Party, the centralists. Most of them have already left, and they've gone on to form new parties. But Labour is a party in turmoil, especially at this time. The astrology of this time, with various things going on in Labour's chart at the moment. One of the most positives is that Uranus is sextiling its Saturn, which gives it an opportunity to revolutionise its boundaries and limitations. But with the current hardcore left-wing leaders I can't see it making any changes soon. In that light, I need to look at the horoscope of Jeremy Corbyn. He was born on the 26th of May 1949 in Chippenham in the UK. I have a birth time for him, but it is not credited. The birth time I have is 5 to 7 in the evening. If anyone has any further information on this, I'd be really grateful to receive it. This makes Corbyn a Gemini with the moon in Taurus and Scorpio rising. 2-3 years ago, Jeremy Corbyn was everybody's darling. He had the youth vote. He was feted at Glastonbury Pop Festival. Everybody loved Jeremy. Now he is seen as a shadow of his former self. The youth vote has completely deserted him. He's seen as ineffectual, ineffective, fluffy, dithery. And at this time, Neptune in the sky is squaring his Venus and his Mercury in Gemini. He was born with a retrograde Mercury in Gemini. So he's not able to elucidate or communicate clearly or concisely in any shape or form as he did 2 or 3 years ago. And people are deserting him in droves. And I can't see him volunteering to step down at the moment. So it seems to me that the Labour Party is heading into an even greater degree of fragmentation. If the Tory Party is fracturing, the Labour Party is fragmenting. I also find it wryly amusing that in Theresa May's chart she has Saturn at 29 Scorpio. Jeremy Corbyn has Saturn at 29 Leo, exactly square to each other. I find it even more amusing that Donald Trump's ascendant is 29 Leo. And for Jeremy Corbyn to have his Saturn on Trump's ascendant, if Corbyn were to become Prime Minister, I can only picture Corbyn sat down with Trump talking about nuclear weapons and economics. Oh, that would be great. That would be funny. Flippancy apart. From an astrological perspective, it seems clear to me that both of the major political parties in Britain are in their death throes and that we need a new politics. And the thing is, this is not just some high-minded, hippy-dippy dream of the long-term future. This is now. The coming Saturn-Pluto conjunction in mid-January of next year, the eclipse of the full moon on the 10th of January next year, very close to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, 2 degrees away, impact big time on the Conservative Party horoscope and the Labour Party horoscope. And it seems as if Britain is moving in, and the 1801 horoscope of the Union of Great Britain and Northern of Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England. So it seems like we are heading into the biggest period of constitutional challenge, probably in British history. And it seems as if the only way out is for the people to have a hand and a say in what's going on. We've had enough of people telling us what to think and telling us what to do, because they're only feathering their own nest. I can't help but feel that some system of either referenda or some other system where the people have a say in what's going to happen is the only way out, because otherwise we would always end up blaming politicians when things go wrong. And if I were a politician now, I'd be thinking, well, whatever we decide about Brexit, the public's going to blame us. Let's put it to the public. Because then if the public make a decision, they can only blame themselves. That's a bit cynical on my part, but if I were a politician, that's what I would be thinking. I do anticipate another public vote. And if that were to happen, I suspect that instead of 52-48 for leaving, it would be something like 53-47 for staying. And that would still lead to further fragmentation. And it's a mess. Time for a new politics. Time for individuals, both individually and collectively, to start taking responsibility for their lives again. And time for us to find a new form of politics.